Natasha Cabani, Minister of Education.
Hi, I'm Leslie Patterson. I'm the Early Years Manager at Northumberland-Peterborough.
For accounting.
Great to be
Yes,
here.
we have 8 locations.
Yeah.
First time in the county, so
Welcome.
very good.
We're very excited to have you.
Yeah.
It's been a wonderful partnership. So the township donates the space, and we have renovated the upstairs and downstairs with the funding we received from the province, and we're very excited. And then so we just paid the operating costs. So it's a great partnership. And we do a lot of work with the library. It's a great partnership.
how have you enjoyed the early
I really like the early years. Yeah, we go to EarlyON at different locations.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just to experience something new, meet different people.
Can you find me a piece of bread? Do you have any bread?
Hey, nice.
There you go, that's right. She wants them all. She wants all the berries. All the berries. Did you do a cheers?
Yeah.
She wants them all. She's a berry monster.
I work for Canada now. So,
And his needle flew in and out, in and out. Alright, we got the mayor involved here. There's just... Yeah, the goal for the government is to get a deal to keep kids in class. We appreciate that the escalation by the teacher union leaders are having a real negative impact on working people. And it's why we announced a few weeks ago some financial support for families up to $60 a day. We're hoping they'll take advantage of that, sign up online, it's seamless. But I think the Premier and the entire team are the first to acknowledge that the impacts that these strikes are having are negative on the educational pursuits of our students and financial hardship on a lot of families, particularly out of the city. You start to appreciate in rural and suburban communities in the province that finding childcare accessible and or affordable childcare is difficult, let alone with 5 days notice. So we're working hard to get a deal at the table and trying to make the case that the focus should be on students, not on enhanced compensation, and that the guiding principles of hiring should be based on merit and quality, not on seniority.
Are the lines drawn in the sand, or is there room?
I think on the government side, we've demonstrated there's been room. We've already made some pretty significant moves, and I think we'll continue to be reasonable force at the table. I think parents expect all the parties to do that, and that's the obligation we have to students, which is to do everything we can to demonstrate in good faith that we want to keep kids in class. And I think for many folks out here, they will recall that this experience, the negative impacts of strikes, happen every few years against every government, against every premier over the course of the last 30 years. And so I think folks have seen this story before, and they're frustrated, and they just simply want the impasse to end. And I think enough is enough with this form of escalation. And the goal for us is just to focus on getting the deal and urging the unions and our parties to invoke private mediation, which is we think an effective way to drive all parties, including us, but all the parties, to make a few moves and get to a deal that provides the stability that kids deserve.
And I would add, if we look to local indicators as well, the things that I've heard from families, from students alike, and from teachers, special ed funding is up in the KPR board. Student transportation, you're in a rural riding, you see the increased need for viable transportation, that funding's up. Mental health supports, of course, 40 million across the province. We've seen increased supports in this riding as well. So by the key metrics of things that are important for families, we're investing in those frontline supports in Northumberland-Peterborough South.
Has the discussion yet, Minister, came to the table or through the government back to work legislation to stop these, so families are no longer affected by the strike?
Yeah, I think.
Or the job action, I guess not.
Yeah, well, both. I think we've heard clearly that parents are losing patience with the impacts of these strikes. I think they have been clear that there's an element of frustration and hardship imposed on them, no fault of their own. So that's not lost on the government. Obviously, the immediate priority is trying to get voluntary deals. And that's where we're going to expend our resources. But I think the Premier has been clear that this can't go on indefinitely. There needs to be some finality to it. And more importantly, we need to make sure that students remain in class. So we're right now going to be just focusing and hunkering down and trying to get a deal, voluntary agreements, which are really the best option. We've already been able to negotiate 2. They've been ratified, including one as recently as December. So it shows some progress, but there's a lot more to do. So we're going to keep working on getting more voluntary agreement. It really is the only win-win-win outcome we seek. And with CUPE, with the big deal we negotiated in the fall, that was a win-win-win where we were able to deliver more frontline services. We were able to, and we
On what? Let's be fair.
and we were able to get a good agreement.
You would want us here.
Thank you.
Doesn't
That's
matter.
it.
It doesn't matter. That
Has there been
individual
any
is
new
accountable.
negotiations set?
We just met with the Catholic Teachers Union, we met with the French Teacher Union, as well as the Elementary Teachers Union the week prior, and we've indicated to the media we stand ready to continue negotiating. We just want to get a deal.
As do the teachers.
No talks coming up then?
The mediator knows, the Ministry of Labour mediator is the one that brings the parties together. And as I understand, all the parties, but particularly us, we've indicated we want to sit down with them in good faith and negotiate.
What do you say to those families that are out there that are now having to take 2 days off per week
Yeah.
and are, using up holidays, their personal holidays quickly on this, and potentially, possibly having their employees come back on them because of the fact that they're missing their work?
Yeah, no, listen, I understand that the impacts are real, and I met a lady over the weekend actually that indicated to me that she's used all of her vacation days, so I appreciate that the impacts on families are real. There's financial hardship. It's part and part also why the Support for Families initiative was unveiled. But listen, we're the first to acknowledge that. We just want to resolve this. I think there's hardship on all the parties, to be fair. Teachers, parents, students.
That's right. Teachers are up $2,000 without pay.
And that's why we're trying to just deliver an outcome that I think is defensible for all of us. And I think the kids, most importantly, just want to be learning, and I think they deserve to be.